Welcome to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast with Janis Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janis will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as the angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janis R. Cohen.
Hey y'all, this is Janis Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist, here on the Intuitive Therapist Podcast. I bet if you took a poll of what people feel is the most important human trait to have, you'd probably get a whole bunch of different answers, probably across the board. And this is most likely because each of us has different experiences that have shaped our sense of self and our lives. Perhaps you're somebody who has had a difficult time in relationships and have experienced betrayal, abandonment, or something along those lines. Most likely you would feel that fidelity, honesty, are two most important human traits a person can have. Maybe you're someone who has struggled to get a break in life, and your experience can be summed up by the belief that you just can't get a break in life, and life is always tough. You might believe that generosity or giving people a chance is the most important human trait a person can have. You might be someone who came from a broken home with addiction and abuse, and for you, the most important trait a person can have is to be able to offer safety or stability. You see where I'm going with this, right? I think many people who would choose to say the politically correct thing, they might say that the most important human trait a person can have is love. And while I am not one to hop on the bandwagon of saying what I think people need to hear, y'all know that, for the sake of approval, I do believe that one of the most important traits a person can have is to show up as love, with love, in love. Love is what makes the world a safer place, and it offers a sense of belonging and acceptance, and those things are priceless for sure. Recently, I came across a quote by Seth Godin, which caused me pause in a good way, and it made me reflect about myself and how I show up for myself and others. While he's a positive person, he's also a realist, same as me. Seth Godin is an author, public speaker, and an entrepreneur with this tremendous following, and his content makes so much sense. According to Seth, and I quote, "Optimism is the most important human trait because it allows us to evolve our ideas, to improve our situation, and to hope for a better tomorrow." I thought this was profound, and it hit me in a really sweet spot because I'm all about personal evolution, personal growth, improving my life, and believing in a better tomorrow. I don't think I could live my life if I wasn't that way. As I've mentioned in previous podcast episodes, I've worked to cultivate optimism in my life. I have worked at it. No one taught me how to do it, nor how important of a human trait it was to have. I did it out of necessity. Most people aren't living an optimistic life. They're not living with an optimistic mindset. Every day there are challenges to overcome, disappointments to make peace with, and hurts to heal. Almost always, life doesn't work out the way we want it to. And if you fall down that rabbit hole of only focusing on that shit, well, you're screwed. We all have stuff to deal with that weighs us down. But how you bounce back from it is key. Having optimism doesn't mean you don't pay attention to reality or accept the truth. Rather, it means that within all of that, you are still able to see the benefits in the dark times, in the broken hearts, in the unmet expectations, and still become a better person, still fulfill your truth. Optimism leaves the door open for new and better things to come into your life and helps you to see that there is always something to gain. Optimism allows you to think of what's possible, not what's not. It makes total sense why Seth would say that optimism is the most important trait. To always see the silver lining is an amazing gift. Like I said, seeing the silver lining, it doesn't make you live in denial. There are people who do that. I know people very close to me who pretend to just be on the happier side of life, not talking about the negativity, just keeping it to themselves. But that's not really living, is it? That's pretending. So what does it do to what does it do to help you have a better life? Well, it helps you have gratitude for what you have. Optimism and gratitude to me are one and the same, and I consciously practice gratitude at night before I go to sleep. First thing I wake up in the morning, y'all have heard this before, I say my gratefuls at night, go through whatever list I need to go through until I'm done. And I thank my angels, spirit, universe, family, friends, on and on and on. In the morning, I say, thank you, Spirit, for returning my soul back to me with compassion. Abundant is your faithfulness. So when I wake up, I know God has given me an extra day, a day I didn't plan on. I had hoped for optimism, but I didn't plan on. How lucky can we be? Every time I become aware of a synchronicity, I practice gratitude. A good luck moment, or a positive interaction with someone, even negative ones, I practice gratitude. How could I possibly recognize those things without having optimism as a primary trait of mine? I couldn't. I couldn't see all of that. I hope you can learn to shift into a default setting of optimism. I'm telling you, life is so much juicier and better when you do. I'm not talking about, there's a saying, me doth protest too much. And that saying means that because I'm shouting so loud about how I feel, I know it's so funny because I see people online especially who are just always saying, everything's great, everything's wonderful, be happy, 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 I'm happy, happy, happy. And I'm like, I know you're not. I know you're not. But if your default setting is optimism, it's more likely that you can show up in the truth of who you are because you see the good. You see the purpose in all things. That's optimism too. Seeing the purpose in all things. Even if you can't rightly explain the purpose or understand it in moments that are hurtful. Kindness, compassion, love, fidelity, generosity, and patience, they are all amazing qualities to have. But in reality, if you aren't optimistic and you can't see the positive in life, I don't really believe you can have any of those other qualities. It's impossible. Optimism is the kind of umbrella trait for all other traits mentioned. Without a sense of hope, possibility, and promise, we would most likely stop living. I wish you a blessed day, a wonderful week, and as always, live intuitively and with optimism.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend. And be sure to give us some stars and a favorable review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in.